everyone, it's technology expert Burton Kelso here with another tech tip to help you get the most out of the technology in your life. Today we're talking about how to keep your smart home safe from hackers. If you are like anyone, you have at least one device that is a smart home enabled device. Doesn't matter if you have Google Home or Amazon Alexa. Doesn't matter if you have Ring doorbell or some of the other smart home items. One item pretty much makes it a smart home. You don't have to have the smart light bulbs or the smart refrigerator or the smart washing machine or all of those things in order to be considered a smart home. All it takes is one device, and you have to be careful because smart home devices can be hacked. And the challenge with having a smart home device hacked is that cyber criminals and just regular criminals can get access, or not get access, but it can get access, but get a better understanding of how you and your family live, and that way it can open up opportunities for you to have I can't believe I'm stumbling over my words today, but anyway, it can make you become a victim of theft in the home, or you can just have people spy and sell your secrets on to others. So what can you do to make sure that your smart home is safe? Well, there's several things that you can do, and we're going to talk about those, and then we're going to talk about what you can do if you think that your smart home is safe. So before we move on, I have to say that as far as cyber crime and smart home protection is concerned, a lot of it is web-based, and so it's easy for you to take steps to keep safe. So the main thing you need to remember, and I always talk about that, or this, or that, or whatever, is anyway, more than 99% of cyber attacks rely on human interaction. And it doesn't necessarily always boil down to people clicking on links and emails and other things that go on that people fall victim to, such as giving out personal information over the phone or over text messages or even an email. That can tie into the hacking of your smart home, but a lot of it has to deal with just not being smart about your cybersecurity online. Now, since most smart home devices are web accessible, all it takes is for a criminal to get access to your credentials to log into your smart home account. And the reason that happens is not because someone actually broke in to your computer or your smart devices. It has to do more with the practice of something called credential stuffing. Now, credential stuffing is the process of cyber criminals grabbing your information off of the dark web that winds up there because of large-scale data breaches. And what happens is that you should change your passwords on a regular basis, but more importantly, people don't think about the implications of not changing their passwords all the time. Now, credential stuffing works in the following method. Criminals get your information, and what they'll do is they'll create programs that will stuff your credentials into your online accounts. It doesn't matter if it's with Ring or with Google or with Amazon. You have to think about it. A lot of these regular accounts that you don't think about securing, the information could wind up on the dark web because you're not doing your due diligence, and lo and behold, someone could get access to your smart home. And it's kind of scary because you have to think about all the devices that are connected to your smart home. If you have a small smart home like with the smart doorbell, it just means that someone can see who's coming and going from your residence. You may not think it's a big deal, but to a criminal, it could be a big deal because they could blackmail you if they're overseas, if you're doing something you're not supposed to be doing, or if it's a local criminal, they can definitely pick the right time to rob your house. Now, if those cameras are internal, there's definitely more of a dangerous situation that can happen because criminals can see what's going on in your house and decide if your house is burglar ready or not. So keep that in mind. So what's the first thing that you need to do in order to keep those online accounts safe? Well, before I go with never underestimate the power of your passwords, I was going to highly recommend that you at least check out to see if you've been compromised by a website called haveibeenpwned.com, and use it so often that it pops up immediately as I type it in. So let's switch to that so that you can kind of see how that works. Now, if you watched any of these videos, you probably know that I use I've been pwned all the time in videos to keep you safe. But the way it works is you put in an email address. And the reason this is important because before you set up a smart home, you need to make sure that your password hasn't been compromised in a data breach. So you type your email address, or you can even type in a phone number and see if it was part of a large-scale data breach. So if you use an email, if you've been pwned like it says here, then lo and behold, you definitely want to make sure that if you were using a known password or an old password all along, that you want to take steps to make sure that you change that password, maybe even create an email address that isn't tied to you or any of the smart home devices that you're going to set up. Now, moving on, let's go to passwords. So don't underestimate the importance of your passwords. As I said earlier, your passwords are important, especially with smart home devices, because all it takes is someone with a web browser and a computer or downloading one of the smart home apps to get access to your smart home devices. So your passwords are definitely keeping you safe from criminals getting in. So the stronger the better as far as passwords. And passwords don't have to be difficult. You definitely don't want to use passwords that are going to make it hard for you to remember how to get into your online accounts. So use a feature or a step that I like to use a passphrase as opposed to a password. Passphrases are essentially two words that are put together that are non-related. So maybe you wouldn't want to use something like red car because that is too simple. So maybe you want to use something like angry Batman. I'm just saying that because that book is here. But you get the drift as far as your passphrases are concerned. Passphrases are normally easy to remember and for you, and they're strong enough that they will keep the criminals at bay. Now, if any of you watching this video has owned a Netgear device at any point in time, Netgear is notorious for using passphrases on their device. Certain things like purple giraffe or indigo lake or burgundy grass, followed by some numbers. You get the drift as far as passphrases, but Netgear has been using them for years as far as routers, and it's really a good method. They wouldn't use it if it didn't work. So the next step is use different passwords for your online accounts. Now that's key because cyber criminals like to or they can find you online, and they like to see if you use the same passwords for your online accounts. Now it may sound like I'm giving a cybersecurity seminar here, but these are the steps that you want to take in order to make sure that your smart home is going to be safe from hackers and criminals. So heed my advice. Different passwords are good, and if one password account is compromised, it doesn't mean that every online account that you use will be compromised by the criminals. So the next step, because someone always asks this when I use different passwords, is to set up two-step or two-factor authentication for I shouldn't say all your devices. You should, but for your smart home. What two-factor or two-step authentication is the process when you log into your smart home account from a different device. It will send a message to your smartphone or to your email saying, hey, is this you logging into your device? And you can click the button saying, yes, it's me, and then it will allow you to get access to your stuff. Without two-factor authentication, a cyber criminal can use a password of yours that they found on the dark web, or if you're using easy-to-use passwords, they can just quickly go through the list of most commonly used passwords and get access to your stuff. So two-factor authentication, they know the password, the two-factor authentication will stop because you have to verify that you're the one logging into your smart home as opposed to a criminal. So the next thing that you want to do, obviously, because a lot of these smart home devices are wireless, is to create a secure Wi-Fi network. Now, the funny thing about this picture is that Linksys router that's in the background is kind of ancient, and you might not want to use that model. But creating a secure Wi-Fi network means that you're using strong passwords, or you have passwords enabled on your smart home network. Sometimes people will set it up on the guest network thinking that it won't pull down more bandwidth. But if you've got a off-the-shelf router, or even a router from, or a wireless router from your ISP, definitely change the default password and make sure that it has at least WPA2 security on it, in order to make sure that you have the type of encryption that's going to keep your smart home and connected devices safe. One other thing that you could do, if you have the setup, you could utilize a second router in your home exclusively for your smart home network. The challenge, or I should say the good thing about that, is that many of us encounter the challenge of giving out our Wi-Fi passwords to family and friends. Not to say that you don't want to do that, but loose lips sink ships, and if your wireless password is out around the neighborhood, there's a chance that your neighbors may be able to log into all of your connected device. So a different network is definitely a good thing. Or on the flip side of that, you could have your guest use the guest network to prevent anyone from accessing your smart home and connected devices. My next tip and final tip for this process of it is to consider professional installation. Doesn't necessarily that you need to go with ADT or some of the other companies out there. If you like buying the smart home products off the shelf, you definitely need to not take it upon yourself to make sure that your accounts are safe and secure. Hire an IT professional or use a professional company to set up your smart home devices to make sure that they're safe and secure, and that it will decrease the risk of having your devices hacked. So on the flip side of that, what if you're watching this video and you're trying to figure out, oh my gosh, I've been hacked. What do I do if my smart home has been hacked, or if I think my smart home has been hacked? Well, there's several things that you can do in order to make sure that your smart home is secure after a data breach. And hopefully that never happens. But if it does, follow these steps. So number one is make sure you reset your devices. What does that mean? Well, that means reset them back to factory default, and that in itself is a whole video, because there's so many smart home devices out there. But most devices, like pictured on the screen before, you have a reset button, or you can use Uncle Google to find how to reset your smart home device, or call the manufacturer and let them walk you through on how to reset those smart devices, because you don't want them to retain the information they had before. So the second thing that you want to do if you think your smart home has been hacked is to reset your router and secure it. Oh my gosh, resetting the router. Yes, you definitely need to do that, because that could mean someone got in. But in most instances, you want to be safe than sorry. So you want to take extreme measures to make sure that you're covering all your bases as far as how the intruder got into your smart home network. Now, resetting your router, most routers have a reset button. Now, keep in mind, if you reset your router, it's going to change the SSID, or what's considered the wireless name, and it's going to change the wireless password too. So that's not a bad idea, but it will reset it all back to factory defaults, and you'll have to reconfigure it again. Now, as far as securing it, if you reset your router back to factory defaults, make sure that you secure it with a nice, stronger password so that criminals or the next door neighbor can't get into your stuff. Next tip is to change all of those passwords for all of your devices. And that means if you've got Amazon Echo devices or Google devices, that means logging on to your Google account and changing the passwords for those online accounts. If you have an account with Ring or some of the other smart home networks, definitely change the password for those accounts as well. I think that screen should have said, make sure that you change the passwords for all of your online accounts, as opposed to just changing them for your devices. So if I mean, if there's anything else that you would need to do as far as protecting your smart home, and that would be don't share your personal information, or make sure that you're securing yourself online when you utilize a smart home. Because remember, a lot of this stuff is internet connected, and all it takes is for a criminal to get access to your username and passwords, and they're into your home. So if you got a smart home, make sure it's secure. If you're not sure it's secure, call your favorite computer person. It could be me, or whoever is near and dear to you that you trust with your technology stuff. So with that said, if you've got comments or questions, leave them in the comment section below. Would love to hear from you to find out if there's ways that I can help you keep your smart home safe, or if you had questions about smart homes and other tech related items. With every video, I always have to ask you, if you love this video and if you found it informative, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel for myself, Burton Kelso, or Burton Kelso, or my company Integral. I'm just losing it today. Anyway, if you subscribe, you can keep up with the latest and greatest as far as when videos are going to be released. And also be sure to follow myself, Burton Kelso, and my company Integral on all the social media channels. We're constantly posting not nerd stuff necessarily, but just the latest tech tips and tricks, as well as other fun technology related content that's designed to help you laugh a little and to make sure that you're getting more from the technology in your life. So, as I always say, I love technology. I read the manuals, and I'm serious about making technology fun, safe, and easy to use for everyone. So take care of yourself and do many things to make you smile. And thanks for watching.